size here.
Well, it's one of those maps where because there's no ramp, it's almost like you have to forgate. You hear a lot of Protoss players saying that about maps like this. The same goes for Belshire Beach as well. So, I mean, we're going to have to see if the players decide to do that. Now, I feel like to a certain extent, that kind of illustrates the difference between the Korean scene and the Western scene as far as PvP goes. Because in the Korean scene, you will see a lot of just forgates all the time, you know?
Certainly.
And but in the Western scene, it seems like people are more willing to experiment with things, which is very cool to see as well. So we know what will probably happen, but
what's that? Oh yeah,
forgates, but we don't know what will actually happen just yet.
All right, well, let's go ahead and introduce our players. So down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Tal'Darim Altar, we have Fnatic MSI's TT1, so give a cheer for him if you're looking for him to make a comeback.
And in the yellow, needs to win this game to close out the series, it is Rain Kiwikaki.
Got some Kiwikaki fans out there, you know, a guy who's been posting some very, very good results and did extremely well at MLG. And very, very impressed with the way he went through his pools, knocking out several Koreans as well. And so I expect very big things from him in this tournament, honestly. Yeah,
we'll have to see, too. I mean, TT1, he's got some history about taking out Koreans now that he's been to Korea and back. I remember when he was out there with the rest of those guys for the GSO World Championships earlier this year. I remember him beating Nada. That was pretty crazy. That whole series was just a really, really neat Team League game as well, but remember that he beat Nada and then he came out of the booth and almost had his arm burned off by the flame things. He survived though. It was okay,
that. And I remember the shot of White Rod just walking through the middle of them, looking like a boss.
Flames can't touch him. He's like invincible or something like that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he says that all the time because if I was White Rod, I would. I'm White Rod.
Why not?
And so here we have it. Looks like both builds are pretty well mirrored at the moment. Pylon's finishing at about the same time as well. Cybercore's coming up at about the same time. Really just the only difference we saw in the last game until the robo timings came up was the amount of chrono boost that was saving up, as Kiwikaki had elected to save an extra chrono boost. And he may actually be doing the same thing here, already building that up quite a bit.
You know, you can see just how crisply these guys have these build orders nailed down. I mean, with everything being exactly at the same second almost, it's pretty cool to see.
And so we'll take a look at what they're going to do here in a bit. Second gas already coming down for Kiwikaki. Well in view of TT1. That has not come up quite yet for TT1. They actually did put those down at almost exactly the same time last go around, but that's not going to be the case here.
You know, that second gas is kind of like a message to your opponent. It's on a map like this. You're like, I put my second gas down. Now, don't you want to put your second gas down as well so we don't have to forgate each other? But we'll have to see what happens. Looks like TT1.
No, poor probe not mining gas.
Sad.
Okay, he's got it now. There we are.
Yep. And it's not a fake gas for Kiwikaki either. He's actually going to use it. Now, TT1 did build a second gateway, but it looks like he's just going to do that quick 3-stalker opening. Actually, quick 3 stalkers. So he could still 4-gate out of this. I mean, this is a 4-gateable opening, but might decide to do something else.
And there's gateways 3 and 4.
Hey, there you go. Yep. See that pretty commonly.
There we are. So 4-gate. His opponents, on the other hand, Kiwikaki, there's gateway number 3, and no, nothing else for the time being.
Well, with 2 gas, you know
already
he's
200.
Do some sort of tech, but what will it be? That's the big question right now.
Already 200 gas saved up. It's either going to be Twilight or Robo. We'll see in a second. Although, of course, I say that, but I was about to say, Phoenixes have been used a lot lately, so he could throw us for a loop.
Yep. Another pylon going down, and Kiwikaki, he's got a lot of gas built up, really.
And both players have, probes on their half of the map. The forward pylon for TT1, the forward pylons, I should say, have already gone down. Of course, he is going after that super aggressive 4-gate off of just 1 gas, going to be primarily Stalkers and Zealots, and just try and overwhelm his opponents. Kiwi, on the other hand, sitting back on those 3 gates, and actually doesn't have starting to build up a little bit of resources. Surprised he hasn't put anything else down quite yet.
And here comes TT1, 3 Stalkers versus 3 Stalkers. 4 Stalkers, but here come the reinforcements for TT1. Kiwikaki has to be very, very careful not to get caught in a bad situation.
Yeah, certainly. There are a couple of pylons coming up for him as well. Because Kiwikaki is supply blocked at the moment. TT1 making his way in until these Zealots actually engage. Kiwikaki should be able to trade at least evenly, but now the Zealots are in the mix, and Kiwikaki is going to have to retreat. Doesn't have any sort of third gate, and a lot of leftover gas that he's not going to be able to utilize.
Kiwikaki is going to need to really have some amazing micro to get out of this one, because there's 5 Zealots out on the field right now for TT1.
He does have a pylon inside of TT1's base.
Oh, that's true too. Is he going to warp anything in though?
And we'll find out, because he may be a little bit too worried about just being outright killed in his own base.
Yep. TT1 doing a lot of damage here. Those Zealots coming from behind. The Stalkers getting more or less cleaned up, and then they can kind of kite those Zealots indefinitely. But more reinforcements coming in from TT1. Still nothing warped in at the base of TT1 by Kiwikaki either. And yeah, I've got a feeling we might see TT1 take a pretty quick game too here.
Yeah, 16 workers to now 13 workers to 21. Kiwikaki losing the rest of his forces. He is finally cleaning up the original Zealots that were shredding through his probes.
He's just lost way too many probes at this point. Expected GG any second now from Kiwikaki.
Yeah, down to 10 supply, and that is going to be all she wrote. Kiwikaki GG's, and TT1 takes game number 2.
Yeah, so we are suddenly 1-1, man, and I told you, 4 game's pretty tempting.